Welcome to Bite-Sized Data Science. What is the life cycle of a model? We create a model, we test it, and evaluate its quality. Sometimes that means going back to the data to either finding more data, finding related data, or creating new derived attributes. Then we go back to modeling, testing, and evaluating. Then what? We still need to make it available to many people and applications. Let's look at model creation. I am using the IBM Watson Studio environment with a Jupyter notebook. Later in the discussion, I will use a Watson Machine Learning free service when talking about using the service in production. If you want to learn more about that platform, look at the details provided in the description to this video. As we saw in other videos, when we create a model, we must first convert the non-numeric columns to numbers and get to the pipeline creation. Once we have a pipeline, we can train the model and test it. With this result, we can decide if we are done with our modeling. If we want to reuse the model without having to recreate it from scratch, we can save it. In our case here, we simply use the save method. As you can see, the model is saved in the local file system as a directory structure. If we have access to that directory structure, we can recreate the model simply by using the load method and pass it the directory location. We see that if we run the evaluation, we get exactly the same results on the test data that we got earlier. It is the same model. In many articles I've seen, it stops there. You save the model to a directory. What you do with that after is your own business. Is this the way you want to make it available to other team members? How do you make it available to applications that want to score their data? It would be useful to have a way to save the models in a repository and to be able to deploy them as we see fit. In the next section, I'm using the Watson Machine Learning Service and API. If you are looking for a machine learning platform, I suggest you make sure that it includes at least the minimal functionality shown here. I can list the models included in the repository with a simple API call. Saving a model is also a simple API call that includes a descriptive name. Once a model is saved in the repository, it could be retrieved using a few lines of code and be available for use. It makes a lot more sense to have the ability to deploy a model so people can use a deployed model instead of having to load the model into their code each time and use the model methods to score data. We can deploy the model through the Programming API. It can also be deployed through the Watson Studio interface. The scoring call is simply the scoring method, taking as argument the scoring URL and record you want to score as JSON payload. The prediction comes back in JSON format with all the initial data and details on the prediction. You can access specific sections of the prediction as we see in this example. The API also includes a way to remove deployment and models. I'll keep the deployed model to discuss one more thing. If the environment is integrated, there could be additional benefits. For example, the people that want to test a model to see if it does the right thing may not like to use a programming interface. Instead, the environment can provide an interface where people can try a model without writing one line of code. Through Watson Studio, we can access information on the model and its deployment. Going into the deployment, we can use the Test tab to enter data and get it scored. In our case here, we have 16 attributes. It can take a while to enter the data manually. Instead of using a form, we can provide a JSON representation of the data and get it scored. What comes back is exactly what we saw in the notebook. We see the attribute names, the values, the encoded values, and some statistics such as raw prediction, probability, prediction, and prediction label. In this example, the prediction is that the customer will leave. We saw here that there is more to model creation than meet the eyes. There are also other issues that come with model management that was not covered here. For example, monitoring the model for quality so we can decide if it needs to be regenerated. Make sure we keep what we discussed in mind if you are looking for a machine learning platform. See you next time on Bite-Sized Data Science, and don't forget to subscribe.